So this lesson is, we're looking into some fills, okay? Now, I talk about fills quite a lot because I love them so much. They're so easy to do and they can help you beatbox a lot faster. They can make your beatboxing a lot more intricate and more interesting without actually putting a lot of effort into it. So we're going to look at 4 fills. In actual fact, we're going to look at 3 real fills, and the first one is just kind of more the basic technique. Okay, so it's the basic technique in order to be able to produce your fills properly. Okay, so let's just get straight into it. So the first one, the fills that we look at, as you already have in the lessons currently in the course, is TK, right? So TK, so the way that you produce the fills, first of all, in order to get this correct, is you don't want to push too hard. You don't want to be putting too much pressure into your fills. Your fills should be gentle, they should be subtle. And if you do them gently and more subtly, you'll be able to produce your fills and deliver those fills a lot faster. And that's kind of what gives your beatboxing more dynamics and more flow. Okay, so your solid beats, you can push those a lot harder. Okay, you can make those sounds more fuller, but the fills, the TK, so these are TKs. Okay, so the first thing you'll hear that those TKs were quieter, right? When you put them into the beat, okay, and you'll hear that dynamic, that switch of pressure and a fuller sound and a quieter sound. That kind of variation gives you a fuller sounding, a more complete sounding rhythm, right? And a more interesting sounding rhythm. So let's go straight into the first technique, which is just a TK. Now, to get this right, I like to imagine and visualize a mouse, right? Stay with me, a mouse running across a wooden floor, okay? So you get this kind of sound. One more time. So you hear that is really, really subtle. It's really, really quiet. And the only way you can get that TK going that fast, I hope you can hear that properly. Obviously, it's quite quiet. The only way that you can get that fast, so this is a good test, this is a good measure. You want to be able to produce your TKs that fast, okay, or faster. If you can send me a video of you doing that faster, I'll be super impressed and I'd love to see it. Get them that fast first, then you are certain, you are sure that you're doing them correctly, okay? So that's the first one. Let's get straight into our first actual fill, okay? So this is, so we've got TKT, right? You can write this down if you want. TKT, and then put a space, KK, then a space, TK, okay? So TKT, KK, TK, okay? TKT, KK, TK. Now this fill is really, really cool. In a rhythm, first of all, let me just show you how it sounds in a rhythm. So you can hear that just kind of thrown in here and there. And actually, when I start beatboxing and I start focusing on fills, there are so many different ones. And the three that I'm going to give you now are really designed to help you kind of go in various directions, to help you look at different timings, look at different rhythms, to explore more complex rhythms. And the reason we've got three different ones is to just to train your mouth and to train your instrument to be able to do to have more variation. Okay, I hope that makes sense. So let's get to it. So TKT, KK, TK. And we can actually split that up and really break that down. Okay, so TKT first. Okay, and what you want to do is speed that up. Okay, try and get that fast. Like I said before, with that idea and that vision of the mouse running across a wooden floor. There's that TKT, very subtle, very gentle. Then we've got super easy. Treat it very delicately, okay? Treat these sounds delicately, like you're just kind of placing them into your rhythm, okay? The other sounds, the kicks and the snares and any hi-hats in there, it might be a bit harder. Even the hi-hats might be slightly lower in volume, okay? But similar to the fills, okay? So you can almost treat the hi-hats and the fills on that same kind of level. And obviously your kicks and your snares, usually you want them to be a lot fuller and more at the front, okay? So start slow, right? And then once you've got that, let's try speeding it up a bit, okay? And remember, you know if you're doing this correctly, if you can do, that's how you want to do it. You see how that kind of rolls off? It kind of, it feels pretty effortless, to be honest. All right, so if you haven't already, get a piece of paper, get a pen, write that down, or just remember it. I'm sure you can remember that. TKT, KK, TK, okay? Now what we're gonna do, let's move on to the second fill, okay? So second fill is practically the same as this one. The only difference is we've got TKT, BK, TK, okay? And the reason for this is that you can put the letter B into your fills as well. And all that does is just gives you a slightly different flavor. Now, obviously, with fills and with any rhythms, you know, it's up to you. You can do what you like. You can go where you want. Absolute creative freedom always, right? So this is just to open up another door, another avenue, so you can look at a different way of producing this pretty much same fill, okay? So we've got TKT, BK, TK, TKT, BK, TK, right? Again, in a rhythm, so these fills are kind of like bridges, right? They're just like these beautiful bridges that link one part of your beat to another part. So instead of just having this beat just can take that rhythm, super simple, straight up 4/4 beat, right? And just add that fill in there. Right, you hear that? So that's just like a kind of, and you'll see there, you know, I did a few rounds of the standard beat, and they're just using this fill as this bridge to link one section to the next, right? Okay, so then we've got two fills. So the first one, TKT, KK, TK. The second one, TKT, BK, TK, okay? Third one, we're gonna do TKT, BKT. Okay, so this is kind of like a nice, smooth, fluid, it's kind of like a rolling fill. Okay, so and again, to know that you're doing this right, so let me just emphasize, you don't want to be pushing too much with these sounds. When you're doing these fills, the correct way is not to push so hard. So you don't want to be doing your T's like a hi-hat, for example. So a hi-hat, you don't want to push that hard at all, okay? There's your hi-hat. That's even, you know, that's less, but we want to go less than that. It's kind of without the S sound of the hi-hat at all. It's just the T. And to get it really fast, it's almost like, you know, all of the sound is happening behind your teeth. It's kind of like a contained sound, almost hidden. Okay, so TKT, BKT, this is the fourth one, okay? Kind of like the third one really, because the first one was just really going over the technique. That's number one, okay? So number four, TKT, BKT. And you want this to really roll. So TKT, BKT, although I kind of will visualize these separately. So TKT and then kind of a space. If I was writing this down, I'll put TKT, a space, then BKT, even though I write it like that, just because it's clearer to see what's going on here, what we're practicing. I'd still actually think about this as one fluid roll. So TKT, BKT, all in one phrase, okay?